Well, here we are. Hey.
It's so funny because I can see there's people in the comments that came on early that are just having conversation. What's up, Night Vision? What's up, Cianzabel? But it's funny. So I can see how many people are having conversation. And then all of a sudden we start early and then I see the numbers start jumping up. I think we actually surprised people. They weren't quite ready for this.
I love when we can do that to them. They think we're inept over here on Saber Rattle, but we're far from inept. We just need to start an hour early. That's right.
Right. Even Mike said a minute early. Woohoo! What's up, Kevin? What is up, Mike? It is good to have you guys all here, guys. 9 subscribers. I don't know if you can see that. We are at 1991. If I get 9 more subscribers, we are giving away a NeoPixel Saber, guys. I'm not sure which NeoPixel, but this will be a $500 value Saber, and I need 9 more subscribers. So if we can get 9 more tonight or by next Sunday, then next Sunday we will be giving away a NeoPixel Saber of some sort. So make sure to get 9 more subscribers. Tell all your friends, tune in, subscribe, and maybe they can win a Saber. Yeah. Howdy, what's up, Ralph? What's up, SLK?
Oh, man, there's a bunch of people in here. Some that I recognize, some that I don't.
It's always fun seeing new names pop up. Sometimes when we have really great guests and they bring in their own people, so we get new people to the show. So that's always fun.
There's the Saberlight Nights. So that's at school, our sister school, and great bunch of guys. We'll be at a competition with them October. Love those guys.
What's up, Saberlight? And what is up, Duran? It is good to see you guys. Hey, just like always, I'm going to keep reminding you, August 3rd, the Kyber Cave is the place to be. That will be KyberCon 4. And we have Chris Bartless, a.k.a. C-3PO from Disney+. He will be there, as well as David Gonzalez, who was Akrev. He was a drummer on Jabba's Barge. So make sure to be there. This is a free event. I don't even charge you money for our cons. It's all free. I just want you to come out and have fun.
There you go. You should
what is new with you? What's going on over at Aiken?
This week we had Karen Herdman on last Sunday, and then the following Tuesday, she invited me to sit with a panel of martial artists and judge a belt event. So her white belts were testing for yellow. She had she actually had 2 students fly in from Colorado to test, one in her red belt to go up a rank, so she's still below black belt, and then a black belt who went to 2nd degree black belt. Then another person tested, old guy. I mean, I'm old, but he's old, and he's got knees replaced and everything, and he tested for his 5th degree black belt.
Wow.
Sat next to a guy, got to be a legend because he's a 10th degree black belt. You don't see very many of those. So that was a great event, and a shout out to Karen. Karen does want to come back. We didn't quite finish the interview, so we'll see.
And for everybody, for the people that were tuned in last week and saw that interview with Karen, we found out what happened was she had a power out on her end. I don't know if the whole block went out or what exactly happened, but she said the power went out and all of a sudden she lost everything. That's why she couldn't jump back on and finish the interview. So, I would love to have her back again. She was absolutely amazing.
Superstar. So there's a video floating around of that event that I put together, just like I do videos for Aiken Saber Academy for the students so they can watch themselves when they fight. And personally, for an ego thing, I watch myself get my ass kicked by teenagers.
Hey, you're still out there doing it, making it happen.
Exactly. So July 11th, turned 69.
Wow, July 11th?
Yeah, July 11th, 1955.
Woo-hoo!
Put out a picture of my dad who left when I was 7, circa 1958. He was in the Air Force, so I guess the military runs in my family. So my dad, me, my son.
Wow. Well, congratulations. I hope to make it that far. And if I can be in as good as health as you, that would be a cherry on top.
You've heard the saying, only the good die young, so you'll be around for a long time.
Oh, man, I should be. I'll be around for a long, long time. All right. So I do not have, and I feel bad because I know our dear producer Marissa has worked hard to get segments ready that I don't have prepared. What's up, Matt? It's always love having Matt out here. Matt, get us 9 more people so we can give away a NeoPixel. Anyways, we're gonna skip over nerdy news tonight.
Okay.
And go directly into what is one of my favorite parts of the show, the flow of the show.
Oh my God, it's been great. The guy with the little balls that he was doing 2 weeks ago, and then the guy riding on top of a platform throwing fire around last week. I can't wait to see what we got going tonight.
This week is a artist that we've had on the show before, and I'm really excited. And in fact, we did an interview with this gentleman. His name is Wallace Dickerson, and you will not be able to watch this guy perform. This guy has only picked up a Saber a year and a half ago. So when you're watching this flow, realize that this gentleman is pretty much a baby to this whole Saber society. So if he can do it, you can do it too.
Practice and dedication.
Practice and dedication. So with no further ado, I'd like to thank our producer, James Kaiser. He is an OG in the flow community and brings us an incredible flow artist every single week. And this week, again, is our friend Wallace Dickerson. So here we go. See you on the other side.
Yes, sir.
Woo! I forgot he has a stage name.
he's got skills. I mean,
he's only picked up a Saber a year and a half ago. It was the first time he picked up a Saber. He blows my mind.
Isn't he somewhere down by me?
In fact, I think he's really close to you. I want to say he's within a 30-minute radius of you or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I think I contacted him. He's into his flow. He's not into fighting. So,
right.
And that's okay because he's good at what he does.
There's room for all of us here in the Saber community.
Exactly.
What else did I want to say? You know what I had thought of? I was just thinking, like, I would love, in a perfect world, I would love to see like him and like Matt Torres and like Josh Pilla all get together and make like a fan movie. I can't imagine how incredible a fight scene would be with some of these top flow artists.
Well, yeah, let's throw Christian Castro in there with that.
Christian Castro. Oh my goodness!
Oh, yeah, that would be a worthy movie. You know, it'd be a probably good show to have the four of them on at the same time, and let them bring examples of what they're working on or something new. I mean, so it'll be a little video heavy, but that would be a special show.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't really thought about that. I've had a lot of these flow artists on individually. And then we had the show where we had the ladies of the lightsaber. We also did the commanders of the different groups. Maybe It'll be fun to get different flow artists together in one show.
I think that. Well, I'm pretty sure Matt would come on. Matt's
been on the show. All the people have been on the show individually.
Yeah. Christian's been on a few times, both for his flow stuff and also for his saber building skills. So yeah, that would be a great show. I would love to just watch that show.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to get to work, start putting the flow show.
the flow show. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mr. Commander Negron, we have a very cool guest here tonight. What can you tell me about our guest?
All right, so we have Jared Graham, and Jared Graham is a Saber Legion superstar. If there was a Hall of Fame for lightsaber combat, Jared would be on it. I don't know that we've ever had him on this show before, but we've had his wife on with the Ladies of Lightsaber. It's about time. He's well liked, well thought of, and he's doing amazing things within the organization. So I'm personally honored to be able to interview him tonight.
Excellent, excellent. Well, with no further ado, let's get this intro going. See you on the other side.
Well, hey, brother, it's good to have you on.
Hello.
Yeah,
can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. I'm not a professional at this, but I play it once. So I stayed at a Holiday Inn last night. Listen, thank you for being on. Is this your first time?
Yes, on the Saber Rattle.
Then that is a mistake. That was a long time and being corrected. So I know the audience has heard of you. You're well known within the entire Saber community, just not in Saber Legion. So I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. We're going to find out about a lot. Look, your face is already turning red.
Man, I hope one day to be the kind of person who actually is worth all that introduction you gave to me.
Well,
it's amazing. I was like, who's that guy?
I've known you, I think 2018, 2019. You worked with me a little bit to build a charter, an unsuccessful charter in South Carolina. You were the nicest guy going. I mean, answer my questions, and you did it politely. You did it professionally. I failed and just went back to concentrating on my school, but there was no fault of yours. You gave me all the support I needed. All right, so let's get right to it because I've got a lot. I mean, I know it looks a lot because they're big. They're big because I'm old, but I have a lot. Did a lot of research. So some of the folks you know sent me information.
I am flat-footed here. The audience needs to know that I have no foreknowledge of any of these questions or discussion topics.
And I'm going to keep.
I am here fresh.
I'm going to keep my sources. I'm going to keep my sources confidential. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about your personal life, your family, your hobbies. I really want to know about your time in the Army. I'm sorry, but being a retired military officer, my son's in the Army. He's an Army medic. He promotes in a few weeks. We're going out to see his promotions. So I'm curious, but there's a reason why I'm asking about your Army time because it's a story that goes with that.
Okay, hit me.
All right, that's it. That's the question. Tell us about yourself, where you grew up, what's your family like, and then do you have other hobbies besides LED fencing or light fencing?
Sure, yeah. So I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, right?
Okay.
And I made my way. I tried my hand at college for a little while. After I turned 18 and graduated high school, I tried to go to a little college in Tennessee for a while. That did not work out very well at all. And so instead, I ended up going into the Army not long after that. So about 2003. So I graduated high school in 2000, went into the Army about 2003. And what I ended up doing is I did the full trifecta of Army experience. So I did 6 years of active duty. And then I transitioned into the Army Reserve. And then I transitioned into the Army National Guard. So I did 3 years of reserve, 3 years of guard. So a total of 12 years, 6 active, 3 guard, 3 reserve. So my active duty time, 3 of those years were in Italy and 3 of those years were in Japan. And in Japan is where I met my lovely wife, Melody, who was there teaching English to Japanese adults, kind of English as a second language. And we had a whirlwind romance. And then when I got out of active duty, we lived in North Carolina for a while, and that's where I was in the reserve in Greensboro. And then I transitioned when I moved to Oklahoma for a job that I took in Bartlesville. So we lived in Tulsa, which is a little south of Bartlesville. That's when I went into the National Guard, right? So I was
3 years. 12 years, you're only 8 years away, from collecting your pension.
You'd think so, but actually, you can
so.
only either count guard or reserve, but not both. So even though I've done 12 years of Army, I only have 9 years toward retirement.
What a ripoff! What a ripoff!
I know,
It's
right?
nice on this side of military. So do you have kids?
I do. We have 3 kids. My daughter is Dacia, and my son is Dylan, and my youngest son is Gavin.
And how old?
So Dacia is 24, and 25 maybe. And yeah, and Dylan is coming up on 20. I think he just turned 20, or he's about to turn 20 July 1st, actually. So that's tomorrow. And then Gavin is 14, going on 15.
You and Melody don't even look close to old enough to have kids that old, to be honest with you. You guys are such a good-looking, young-looking couple.
Thank you. I moisturized.
well, that's helpful. I do the same up here. So now the question is, are any of them involved in the same sport and lightsaber?
Gavin is. He's still with us. He's still living with us here at home. And Dylan is off. Dylan is doing Air Force. So he's in New Mexico right now with the Air Force.
Right.
He is living up north of Orlando, and she's with her man and having kiddos. So Gavin is still with us. So he's getting ready to go into high school, and he's technically too young to do official tournaments with the Saber Legion, but he does practice with us. He's got his own gear. He's got his own sabers. So.
It's fun to practice with your boy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's amazing, and he brings such a different energy to it too, because his hobby, his fun hobby, is to be in color guard. Right, that's what he does extracurricular with school, and so the spin and the flow is amazing.
So he's in a junior ROTC who has a color guard. Is that it?
No, he's actually with the band color guard.
Band color guard. Oh, they're phenomenal. Phenomenal organization. So then when you left, so that's a good intro to you and who you are and your kids and what's going on with your family. So how did you actually get into, I'm going to call it LED combat, so how did you find your way to Saber Legion? This is the part where my knowledge ends, because I don't even know how long Saber Legion's been around. Sure.
So I'm Scottish, right? The Graham clan is a Scottish clan, and I liked that history and studied a little bit of that history too. Evidently, Sir John the Graham was a close personal friend of William Wallace and died in the Battle of Falkirk, I believe. So, because of that culture, I at one point in my military career, I had purchased a basket-hilted broadsword. And when I got out of the military, I was tired of push-up, sit-ups, and run, as we all get tired of push-up, sit-ups, and run. And I wanted to stay fit. And I looked and I saw my broadsword on the wall. I thought I should probably know how to use that. So when I got out, I looked around where we were. We were in Oklahoma at that time. I looked around for some sort of sword fighting fitness activity. And what I found was the SCA. And so I actually spent... I spent a year fighting heavy in the SCA and sort of learning some basics of sword combat there. And around the same time, we went down to Dallas to visit my family, and we went to a con. And at that con, Ultra Sabers was there. And we ended up purchasing an Ultra Saber. And I started looking around to see if there was any organizations near me in Oklahoma that were doing lightsaber combat or something similar to it. And the Saber Legion was a little less than 6 months old at that time. And so I got in right on, I wasn't one of the originals, but I got in right on the ground floor. So.
Wow. So because Saber Legion is about as close as lightsaber combat gets to SCA or armored combat. So it's the out of all the lightsaber sports, it's certainly the heaviest. So it's a good fit. When you were due to your heritage, did you ever do any ant guard or dagger here, any of the foam weapon, LARP stuff, wear a kilt, run around shirtless out in the field kind of stuff?
I do wear a kilt and run around shirtless out in the field, but not with any good excuse like amp guard or dagger. I'm tangentially familiar with those organizations, but I haven't ever tried them or found out if they are near me. I wouldn't be opposed. I think that'd be amazing. I just don't have that experience. But
it's a fantastic way of fighting. It's pretty mean. to be honest. But well, if you did SCA, kind of the same rule. So you hit somebody in the leg, they lose the leg, you got to go down to one knee, something like that. So it's sort of similar like that, except no armor. So when you've had like a whole series of positions. So you join Saber Legion, 6 months old. What do they make you? I mean, what, you just showed up at some location and you were just a foot soldier, or did you volunteer for something a little bit more?
Hey, it was sort of a how to describe what happened. So I joined the Oklahoma charter at that time. Before I came to TSL, they had decided that by state or by country, they would split up geographical charters, right? So all of Oklahoma was one charter. And that's still mostly the case. So I joined that charter, and I was like, hey, listen, when are we going to meet up? When are we going to meet up? And you know, the people who were, I don't think anybody was officially in charge at that point, or if they were officially in charge at that point, they hadn't had their first meet yet. And so they were trying to figure it out, and it didn't go super well, and we could never mesh completely. And then at one point I was just like, look, I'm going to take my lightsabers. I'm going to go to this park in this part of Tulsa. I hope all of you can meet me there. Just come on. And they did. 2 or 3 of us were at that very first one, and then 4 or 5 of us, and then 5 or 6 of us. And then as I was asking questions of the TSL organization, much like you did of me, on what we were supposed to do next, they were like, hey, by the way, you're a charter rep. I was like,
so when you started out, I don't think all the documentation was in place for what you should wear. I mean, basically, this is early on. You had a lightsaber, but you kind of know maybe I should wear some gloves and a fencing mask. But then, what kind of armor in the old days? I'm just sort of curious because it's a lot different now.
It's actually pretty funny that when you did my intro reel, one of the 3 pictures that you showed was me in my original armor and my white stormtrooper gear. And lots and lots of people in TSL today would have seen that picture if they're watching tonight and been like, who is that? What picture is that? That's not Jared, because they don't know me as the white stormtrooper. But that was, I went and found lacrosse gear, right? So there was lacrosse gear, and then there was the fencing underlay for the chest, and then hockey gloves and hockey pants and motocross elbows and motocross knees. And then I just took a masking tape and put it across the eyes and the mouth and the nose and spray painted the whole rest of it white to make it look like the First Order Stormtrooper, because we weren't very far into the sequel trilogy at that time, and First Order was the new hotness in Stormtroopers. And so, yeah, I was one of the very few at TSL1 who had customized their armor to look like a character of some sort. And so
I started in 2018, and I knew nothing. It's like you, started in a park with a bunch of my students from high school. We didn't have anything. We had to learn. And most of our learning was done by you guys, and looking at the armor, I go, wow, look at these guys. Look at how they're dressed up. They've got costume but they're still armored and stuff. So it really, I guess, from the first beginning to when I started in 2018, they'd already developed sort of a flavor for the organization. Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. So, absolutely. So one of the very first was a guy named Brian Freeman from Colorado, actually. And he showed up to the very first TSL annual tournament in full. He had gotten a scrubs, not scrubs. What am I trying to say? What do the mechanics wear? That's one piece all the way.
Oh yeah, overalls.
Sort of like an overall suit with the sleeves and everything in bright orange, and put all his armor over it, sort of, and put some straps on it, and painted his helmet to look like a X-wing pilot. And he made all of he made all of us look, like we were just total scrubs at TSL1. He came out just pristine, and he really set the standard for a lot of us going forward. I've told people, get your armor first, make sure it's comfortable, make sure it fits, make sure it protects, right? And then once you have it, customize it. And so that has been a thing throughout the organization.
Well, I mean, the hardest part for me was trying to find an armor set, and that's why I'm hoping that maybe Saber Legion approves what they're doing over there and with Soft Warriors, so that newbies like me could just for $300 go get a full set, because I had no skills whatsoever, and you guys are so creative. Over at Saberlight Knights, they've got a widget over there who builds their armor for them, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And they all have something different. Yeah, that group is off the hook. They're such a great group.
I am acutely aware of the amazingness of folks like Ryan McKenna and his leather work on the armor that happens over at the Saberlight Knights, and Courtney's done an amazing job with that whole crew over there. So I didn't know they had a widget though. I need.
Well, that's the guy. It's Ryan. Ryan has done it for all of them, and they always look great. So let's get back to this being a charter thing, because it's sort of where I sort of failed. And you were a charter rep at 2 different states. So first off, when I first came up, a charter could be one state, but then it could get big enough in 2 different locations to sort of split, and maybe split again if it's a big state like California. Is that still the case?
No. Yeah. So what we kind of figured out through trial and error is that people want to have a unified identity with their geographical area, right? And the United States is already set up in kind of a way that we already have that identity of our geographical area built into us. You grow up in Texas, you take Texas history. You grow up in Florida, you take Florida history. I mean, it's part of what we feel growing up, right? And so what we figured out was that you didn't have to split if you were going to do Dallas and somebody else was going to do San Antonio and somebody else was going to do Austin. What you could do is, if all of Texas was the same charter, then a charter rep in Austin could have a facilitator under them in San Antonio and a facilitator under them in Dallas, and they could work together and occasionally visit each other's meets, right, to make sure we're all on the same page and still maintain the culture of the Texas charter, all in one big way, so that we didn't have to continuously split, right? And what that gives you is that whether my folks are coming with me to annual tournament from Jacksonville or Tampa or Miami or Orlando or Fort Lauderdale, we show up together and we are all Florida. And so you can be the only one coming from where you are in South Carolina, right?
Yep.
You can be the only one coming from where you are in South Carolina, but when you get there, you look for the other folks from the other cities in South Carolina, and now you're part of a team, right? So
it is you guys established that model, and it is unique in the world. I'm a little familiar with most of the organizations around the world, but Saber Legion has a unique model that is primarily all volunteers, and yet it works. So now, if you're a charter rep, do you have any advice for, say, a new charter rep on how to grow a charter, how to train the members and keep them excited so they can still come, and then, maintaining safety standards, and most important, building leadership? That's a lot. I put a lot there for you.
Listen, the position of a charter rep is a unique position in all of the different skills that it touches, right? And you don't have to, in a single person, be an expert at all of these skills, but the hope is that if you can't do it yourself, that you have people around you that you can delegate it to. So you're talking about like advertising and recruitment for new members, retention for current members, development of individual programs, volunteer program development, resourcefulness and finding a local venue and things like that, social media and multiple platforms of social media all at the same time. And just the list goes on and on. And so we sort of made it up as we went along back in the old days. And when they told me, hey, you're a charter rep, I didn't know what that meant. And there wasn't really I got with the other charter reps and they didn't really know what that meant either. So we were all kind of figuring out together as we went along. And eventually they tasked me with writing the book on what it meant to be a charter rep.
I remember the book.
Yeah, and so we had the original Charter Reps manual back in the day, and it was kind of kept aside and kept separate. And what we learned over the course of several years is that people, people did not know what to expect from their charter reps. They didn't know what questions they could ask them. They didn't know how to, de-escalate a conflict if there was any disagreement with their charter reps and things like that. And so what we've done currently is we're in the process of putting that, instead of having it a single manual, single book, the process of putting it online on the Saber Legion website. And so when you say, do you have advice on what you can do to be a charter rep? At this point on saberlegion.org, there are multiple modules that tell you how to be successful at all of those things that you just listed. And they are now open to anyone to go and read. Yourself, any of your members.
You have great training for your directors and your referees all online. So would the charter rep module, could it be a training course? Would that be effective?
It is meant to be sort of a training course for new charter reps. And I have started to kind of move away from that position and retire from that position because I've been doing it for like 6-7 years now. But Tony Staffiati from Virginia is taking over that position, and we're working together to finish up those last couple of modules and stuff like that. I have a unique advantage in that my lovely wife is an educator and has a master's degree in curriculum development. And so I have the things that I try to build cannot hold a candle to the director's program and counselor's training program and line judge training program that she's developed for the Saber Legion. But I pick up a small thing or two here and there from her, and I ask for her help to kind of develop my own stuff. And so it's not as good, but it'll get you there if you want to become a charter rep in the Saber Legion.
Just like in life, the women are quietly running everything, and God bless them for doing it.
Absolutely.
So then, if you're chartered, I guess the one thing that I've always wanted to know, money. Okay, so the Legion probably raises money through some sponsorships and things like that. But if you have a charter rep, are there rules for a charter rep on how to raise money for that charter, where to keep it, a 2-person rule on a checkbook? Should they be a incorporated group of, I don't know, let's say Texas, there's a charter in Texas, do they incorporate, that kind of stuff?
Listen, for the longest time, as a charter rep, even in those early days, and transitioning from Oklahoma to Florida, I would tell people I am allergic to other people's money. I will break out in hives. And so because of that, there were times when, like, for example, one of the things that a charter will regularly do is when you go to have a meet in a particular venue, and that venue cost $50 to meet there for 2 hours, right? And you've got 5 charter members there, right? I would say to each of my charter members, go take your $10 and go give it to the venue owner. Don't give it to me. I don't want it. I'm allergic to other people's money. I will send you over there to pay your part, and they'll get $50 by the time we're done. And that's not sustainable as a model as the Saber Legion grows in a particular area. And so, yes, we have had to put very strict limitations on who can use what money and in what way. And make our charter reps and the folks that do have to deal with other people's money accountable to the people. At any point, any of my members in Florida can say, hey, I want to see what happened with last year's ticket sales for the Kybra Open. And it is beholden on me to pull those books open and to account for every penny that came in and went out again. And our goal when we as a charter, like the international organization itself works a little bit differently, but our goal as a charter, just in Florida, for example, is to be self-sustaining without making a profit. And so we price our tickets to each individual event to be just enough to make enough money to purchase the next event, and then so on and so on. We price our patches to give us back just enough money to purchase the next round of patches, and so on and so on. And that's the calculations that we're making so that we're not holding gobs of other people's money and trying to figure out what to do with it. I don't want to be accountable for that. I will answer for all the pennies that come in and out, but I'm not trying to make money. And the Saber Legion is not trying to make money off of Florida. And that's not how that works.
I'm kind of with you. Some people have schools and they're incorporated. I don't want that. I've had a booster club once before when I was teaching ROTC. I don't want to deal with people. I don't want to deal with money. I'm a city program. They pay the city pays me. So I'm like a yoga class, and I don't have to touch money, and I get enough money back for equipment, or I just put my own money into it. So as I understand it, let's just go on and let's talk about your fighting career for a little bit. From a source, I'm not going to tell you who, I understand you're only one of 4 members that have been to all the national tournaments.
That is correct. There have been 7 TSL annual tournaments. I think we're coming up on number 8, or maybe 7, and we're coming up on number 8, I think is the number. And me and 3 others are the only 4 people that have been to every single one every year. I'm very, very proud of that. There was a year actually that I was prepping for it, and I was at a meet and I rolled my ankle really, really bad and cracked one of the bones in my foot.
Oh.
And this was like 3 weeks before annual tournament. And so I went anyway and just hobbled around on a lightsaber cane. I took one of those curved saber forged banes, right? And I put a cane nubbin on the bottom of my blade and just hobbled around on a lightsaber blade and did announcements and brackets and just made myself a nuisance.
Right. So you didn't fight in that one.
No.
That's smart. That's pretty smart. So, that's a heck of a commitment. I mean, that's not cheap to go to Las Vegas, right?
No.
So do you budget for that all year round with Melody and go, okay, Saber Legion, the national tournament it's going to cost us this much and so on. And you guys have to make the sacrifices, I'm guessing. What do you do for a living now? I think you mentioned it before.
Yeah, I'm a IT engineer. So I work on networks.
Okay. All right. And so does that allow you to take like time off?
It does. Yeah. And I am so lucky to be married to Melody. And the reason why, one of the many reasons why, because there's thousands, is that she has committed her time and effort into the Saber Legion as well. And so it's sort of it is a couple thing that we go and we do together. And it's sort of like a business trip in some ways, where it's not exact. We try to take a day before or a day after to do a little bit of vacation and just have some us time and things like that. But I have my fighting and charter business, and she has her administrating the event business to do, and we're there together. And so I am very privileged, and I feel I wouldn't say I don't feel sorry for, but I wish my blessings for everybody who has to leave their family and go to one of these events by themselves. Like, I wish that everyone would do these sorts of things together as a family, as couples, as with their significant other, because it's just such a amazing couples thing to do.
Well, I mean, I'm sort of adjacent to Saber Legion, but I will have to say there is a sense of community and family that I see that comes out in the social media, in the videos. And that's impressive for an organization where there's thousands of people. I mean, Saber Legion International has 8,000 people in it. That's really impressive. So then, let's talk about your fighting. So you've done this. What do you do to train for fighting, like to get ready? Because you're at a high level of accomplishment. So tell us about that. But then how do you keep that up? I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I need naps every afternoon now. I mean, I'm at that point as an old man.
What's my training regimen? There is no substitute for being in the ring. And so the best thing that you can do to train to go to a tournament is to go to other tournaments. And the best thing you can do to train to get ready to go to those other tournaments is to go to your local meets and to spar, and not just to spar at local meets, but also to if you have enough people, and if you have more than 4 people at your local meet, then you have enough people to do directed matches, like practice directed matches at your meets. Like open sparring is important and it has its place, but also to get somebody in there to act as a ring director and get a couple people around the outside to act as line judges and to, set up a time and score and go, and then rotate. Now you go be a line judge. Now you go be a director. Try it out from all angles and understand the whole of the sport. And when you can't get that, then just regularly going to the gym and, Saber Legion has the advantage of being sort of like an MMA of saber combat. Whereas, and by that I mean someone who does kendo and someone who does Olympic fencing and someone who does German longsword with the HEMA club can all come together and do the same moves that they are currently doing in their clubs with a lightsaber in their hand in our ring under our rule set and potentially be successful. And so what happens is if you can't have any of those things within a Saber Legion meet or those sorts of things, you can also go and train under one of the other sword disciplines and then practice doing that with a lightsaber with us. And I would also say one of the things that doesn't get talked about very often, but that I have been made aware of over the past year is that it would be important to also train sports psychology. I have been reading a couple of books. The Champion's Mind by Aframo is my primary, but I've looked at a couple of other books as well about the psychology of sport and being an athlete and what that means in a tournament mindset and in a training mindset and when you get injured and those sorts of things and how to think about that and how to manage your own mental state is just as important as your physical state as well.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. So when you go to so for me, because of my age, strength training is more important than aerobics. It just is. And so aerobically, I'm not in the kind of shape. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the kids. But for someone like you, do you have a program at the gym that you do on a regular basis to keep you fit enough to do the sword play? Because it's pretty intense. You put on all your armor, it's hot. You put the mask on, it's hot. There's a lot of weight on you. You use heavy grade blades and you swing it with your shoulders. So it's, most athletes that are at high levels, they train for their particular sport.
Right. At the gym, in my mind, I continually envision at almost every, the first thing that I do is I try to mix it up. I know there are folks that have like arm day and leg day and abs day and shoulder day and what else. Like I can't quite get with that program.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
But I do try to vary the machines and activities that I do throughout the gym each time I go, right? And I track them on a fitness app. And what I do mentally is I've heard people talk about the mind-muscle connection, where I guess people are envisioning the flexing it. That's not what I'm envisioning. What I'm actually envisioning when I'm doing a particular movement is I'm envisioning a saber in my hand and how that movement would translate to a fight. So if this is the bite, like the chest press, right? As I'm pressing forward in my mind, I'm thinking about having a saber in this hand, pressing it forward, and then striking at the end. And so my mind-muscle connection is actually mind lightsaber training connection. And I try to find direct fight applications with all the different machines that I do. And so whether it's, biceps or triceps or shoulders or whatever else, I'm thinking about having a saber in my hand. Or if I'm working, the leg extensions or calf raises or whatever, I'm thinking about footwork in the ring.
So you're building muscle memory. Do you do any kind of forms? So a lot of schools, like my school, have forms, like katas, to work with our students. Do you do anything like that, or did you charter do it?
I don't. We have other organizations nearby us that we will be friendly with, and occasionally have a meet in the same area that do different types of choreography and katas and things like that. Right.
Right.
There's one down in Miami, and occasionally we'll have a combined meet where on one side they're doing choreography, and on the other side we're doing Saber Legion, and the members back and forth, whatnot. Personally, the closest I ever got to a kata was I did Tai Chi back in school. And that I found out in one semester that was not exactly my jam. And so I'm not kind of a Tai Chi yoga.
Kind of got to age into that one, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like acupuncture. So in your fighting, is there anybody in particular or any buddies, plural, that you have a rivalry in and you look forward to meeting in the ring every single year?
Oh, mercy. Yeah.
So you're going to have to actually give some names. So it's a shout out.
You're killing me, Commander. You're killing me. Okay. So that's two different questions. And I'm going to answer the second one first. Okay. First, you asked me if I have a rivalry. Second, you asked me if I look forward to meeting anybody in the ring every single year. The answer to the second one is yes. I look forward to meeting anybody and everybody in the ring opposite me who is there to have fun and give honor and maintain a sense of perspective about what it is that we're doing. At the end of the day, we are waggling globats. Okay.
Oh, sure.
We are ridiculous and not in a bad way. We are voluntarily, happily, amusingly ridiculous in this silly sport that we have created. So what happens is if you get in the ring opposite me and you're fighting honorably and you're laughing and you're having fun and you're not taking it more seriously than it really needs to be, you are the person I'm looking forward to every single year. That's what that is. As far as rivalry, one of the things that I love the most are people who are able to find my weaknesses and technically kind of take me apart based on those weaknesses, and then are happy to like come and find me afterwards and be like, hey, do you want to talk about it? I say, yes, I want to talk about it. And they say, okay, here's what I was doing and here's what you were doing. And this is why it worked and this is why it didn't. And two of the people that are really fabulous about that, Jay Madden, excellent. Absolutely. Okay. Jay Madden is incredible. He's also an SCA fighter as well. Alec Martinez, he's in my Floridian and we fight.
Oh yeah. Alec, yeah.
But he comes to me and we make each other better with those sorts of things. And we take each other apart and put each other back together again. Of course, this last fight, the belt match, with Seth Clendenning from Wisconsin.
Oh, Seth, yes.
That man gave me his best. And
he's a serious competitor.
Absolutely forced me to give him my best in return. Also, anybody who is taller than me it makes it really difficult on me because again, I am privileged to be tall, and so like Seth Beam from California is 2-3 inches taller than me, and so he's a really difficult fight for me. And so
everybody's taller than I am, so I have a difficult time with everybody. That's pretty awesome. I know Alec a little bit. He builds our sabers. So we have a particular specification for our custom sabers for Aiken Saber, and he's been an absolute joy. I've met him a couple times on Saber Light Nights, Fight Night, where we're going over their fights, and we're just doing a basic analysis. Just an awesome fighter, and he is a master, and he has a book out. So great guy. I need to give him a shout out because he built a custom saber for one of my students who has seizures, and he sent them one of his autograph books. So shout out to Alec, just awesome.
100%. We had the pleasure of just hanging out with him today. Actually, Celtic Custom Sabers. Look for it. He's really incredible. And look up his books on Amazon. Alec Martinez, Alec ALEC. Look him up. He's amazing.
Yeah, pretty much all my students have Celtics now. We used to have the Key Sabers, and Key Sabers sort of went away. I think somebody is making the modules for them now. I don't really want to talk about it because they haven't really said that they're going to do it for the public yet, but you can get Key Saber chassis again. So hopefully they talk about that because I have a bunch of Key Sabers and I have a bunch of Celtics. So real quick, let the audience know how successful you've been as a fighter. And somebody gave me this information. Somebody's very close to you. Who was supposed to be on the show with you, by the way.
This is how successful I've been as a fighter. Look, these are a great way to measure success, and I love them, and I'm super proud of them. But one of the main ways that I measure success as a fighter is if I keep my opponent safe, and if they learn something from fighting me, and if they have fun fighting me, right? And so if any of you that are watching this tonight, if you and I have dueled and you enjoyed it and you learned something and neither of us got hurt, then you are how I measure my success. So thank you, first of all, for that duel that we had, or duels, plural. But, for the longest time here in Florida, we told, we made a name for ourselves as the community charter, right? We would host people and provide the best hospitality and just really take care of all our visiting fighters that would come in from wherever states. And we were extremely proud of that. And we were a fun friends and family charter that just had a very happy vibe, and it was fabulous. And at one point, I was walking through a tournament, and several of my Florida fighters had ended up on one side of a bracket in that tournament, myself included. And one of the fighters walking by said something like, "Oh, all I have to do is walk through Florida and then I can get on the podium." And I realized that people were seeing us as the fun, friendly, hosting, hospitality charter and weren't taking us seriously as fighters. And so I had to say, "Porque no los dos." And I had to say in myself, up until that, I fight under the name Maximum Effort, right? Because that's my persona, my armor, my Deadpool, all that, right? And up until that point, it had been, like in the movies, a joke, sarcastic, right? We're here to have fun. I'm giving you my maximum effort, whatever, let's do this. And at that point, it sort of transitioned for me. And I was like, well, you know what? No, let's actually put some time and some expertise into this. And it wasn't too long after that I started ending up on podiums and ended up being given the honor of a shot at the title belt, which I was supremely grateful for and extremely honored by and super appreciative for. And so I was able to make that a success. And so that's how we got where we are.
One of the reasons I left the charter, I did a TSL style competition in Columbia, South Carolina, and it was a bunch of people from the area, mostly HEMA fighters, some SCA, some of the others, and it was just really difficult to control the force. I had one person, supposedly a black belt in Kenjutsu, and I warned him he would be going up against a novice. And I've seen this guy before. He's over forceful. He basically almost knocked the guy out. And that's just not sportsmanship. He got a reaming out publicly on Facebook Live. But the fact was that group was just not ready to be in lightsaber fighting. They just had no idea, and they weren't that interested in meeting and listening to rules and things. Have you run across, because I know there's a big blacklist in Saber Legion of people who just won't follow the rules, who are not good sportsmen, and what does the league do about that?
You would be surprised that actually the list of folks that we have unfortunately had to ban, right, is actually much shorter than you would expect for an organization of 8,000 to 10,000 strong, first of all. And second of all, the number of folks that show up on that list for hitting too hard is almost nil. The case study that I always point out, is the Dooku versus Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, where Dooku in his fencer's stance reaches out and casually brushes Obi-Wan's shoulder and his thigh, and Obi-Wan just drops like a sack, right? And the wounds are large and on fire, And you know, and it has only taken what we in TSL call a boop in order to, you know, canonically completely disable this fighter. And so what we do is we take a lot of time and have put a lot of practice into teaching people that you can be fast without hitting hard, and that speed and force are not the same thing. And almost all of our charter reps have encountered this and have done a really good job of taking those people aside and coaching them through it. And the thing about it is that if somebody then still can't get it or refuses to get it, no one will fight them. I am 6'3". I am a muscular man. I am armored head to toe with lots of really good gear that I've spent years collecting specifically for its protective value. And if I get in the ring with you and you're hitting too hard, I won't fight you. Not because I'm scared of you or scared of pain or scared of getting hurt. It's that I just don't need that in my life.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, it's sort of a self-policing of the community, and the organization itself rarely ever has to step in and say, go away.
Well, that's a good, Alan Venable, you know Alan, right?
I do.
Yeah. So Alan often says in SMAF, you can hit fast, but when you land a strike, it should be with just enough force not to break an egg. And he's not wrong. I mean, so that is within SMAF that has gone through all the schools and people that are in that organization. I've been watching Saber Legion, so as best I can. I'm sorry. Somebody talking?
I'm sorry. I love the egg analogy, and I actually want to provide this real quick too.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
When we're striking with our sabers, slashing, right, we'll get a great big bend in the saber, and so it's very hard to slash in such a way that you'll actually hurt somebody. But thrusting our polycarbonate blades don't bend very much at all, and so
no, they don't.
Thrusting can really hurt somebody. And so what we do is we will take a regular, ordinary folding chair and we'll put it in front of our fighters and we'll tell them thrust and poke the back of this chair without making the chair scoot along the floor. If you can thrust, I mean, exercise. You can rock it a little bit, but if you scoot the chair, if the legs of the chair move from one spot to another on the floor, you've thrusted too hard. And that tends to get it across to people.
We use mid-grades at my school because we fight more European style than we do U.S. style. But we have similar exercises for slashing, for thrust. Well, we don't thrust, so that takes away that whole problem. Because most of these students can't afford the fancy armor. I noticed that over the years, it looks to me as a novice that the type of fighting has become, and I'm going to say a little bit safer from TSL 1 to TSL, what are we on, 7 or 8 now? It seems like that. I remember watching a fella, and he was more of a kendo guy, and he just slashed down, and you could hear the whack. And I thought, wow, okay. Is that a true assessment that I'm seeing now? Is there more emphasis on safety?
Oh, you're being kind. There is a tremendous difference between fighting in the Saber Legion today and fighting at TSL Annual Tournament 1. And I was there. I'm one of 4 people who can tell you what it was like at every single annual tournament all the way through. At TSL 1, I was hit so hard in the side of the head that it bent my fencing mask. My 350 fencing mask looked like this on the side of my head, right? The actual metal, not the mesh, the metal backing of the mesh along the side of my head behind my temple. And yeah, we have made it our business. We have made it our mission statement. We have made it a primary value of the organization and a focus of the organization to continue to get safer every year. And the rule set is a continuously evolving rule set. And the changes that are made to that rule set are changes that are specifically meant to keep people safer as we go through. And the changes to the gear that we make are specifically made to keep people safer. And people look at our organization like, God, you guys are wearing so much stuff. You must swing for the fences. No, we are wearing so much stuff because if we accidentally swing for the fences, we still want to be able to go home and do our regular jobs, right? But for the most part, everything we wear is overkill because the hope is that it is never needed. Does that make sense?
Oh, no, it makes a lot of sense. And it exactly is what I'm seeing when I watch current Saber Legion matches. Again, I don't go to too many matches. I took my group over to Saber Light Nights. They didn't do exactly, it wasn't a Saber Legion night. It was one of their competitions, one of the safest competitions I've ever seen. Their rule set was a little bit different, but how does that work? You have your regular rule set, but now you also have Unity, and in Unity, it is nonstop action. So is it harder to control under the Unity rule set?
So part of what you've seen over the course of the 7 years of annual tournament is not just an evolution of the organization, but also an evolution of the fighters within that organization. And we have all, not just those that have been there all 7 or 8 years, but also those who have joined in the last 2 or 3, we have all gotten better as an organization and gotten safer and more controlled as an organization. And even with all that, Unity, I believe, has an additional certification program where you take some sort of and I'm not an expert. Okay. So I actually do not fight Unity, not because I don't like it. It's not, I mean, it's fabulous. It's an excellent thing. And lots of people in TSL love it. It's just not my preference and not a thing that I've chosen to do at this time. My focus is elsewhere. But I believe there's a checklist of things that you need to do. And I think a couple of questions that you need to answer and a coach or a certification person that you need to work with in order to show that you can do those sorts of things safely. And that's been pretty successful. And I think there's lots of people that are really enjoying the Unity rule set that are going through that exam and that rule set test and figuring those things out and are able then to perform it safely.
Which brings us to, we're getting near the end. Which brings us, since the transition, and I'm going to say in ownership, let's just say, I noticed that Saber Legion under Charlie particularly is sort of like reaching out to all the other lightsaber organizations, and they're talking to them and they're working with them, and there's cross-pollination of fighters coming from Lightspeed to Saber Legion, from Saber Legion to Lightspeed, and so on. Is that done on purpose? Is that something that the leadership has actually talked about and said, look, we're going to set this as a goal? So along with that, for the people that don't know, there is an accord called the Saber Accords, and the Saber Accords is an agreement that specifies a certain list of characteristics that an organization has to do to be in accordance with the accord. So they have to be safety, they have to allow diversity, they have to play fair, and those. So is that a true assessment that Saber Legion is really going out of its way as an organization to play? I'm not going to say play nice. That's not right. To cooperate and to work with and to organize with other bigger groups and organizations.
So I had mentioned earlier that I'm in the process of transitioning out of my position on the leadership council. But yes, and by and large, what you're saying is 100% true. We have, and it is intentionally so, that we have built our mission, vision, and values in such a way that it aligns. We built it, and then the Saber Accords came out, and the Saber Accords aligned with what our mission and vision and values had already put into practice for our organization. And in some ways, the Saber Accords are sort of a common sense that should be common and is not common among Saber organizations, right? And it was easy for us to look at those Saber Accords and be like, yes, we can sign that because we are doing that. We hold similar priorities to what these people are saying, and we kind of feel like everybody should. But an additional thing that we believe in the Saber Legion is that a rising tide lifts all boats. When Lightspeed and SMAF and Terra Prime are in a growth phase and having success, we are in a growth phase and having success. When the culture and the zeitgeist wants to play with lightsabers, they will find us. And the ones that want to play Lightspeed rules will find them. The ones that want to play Terra Prime rules will find them. And the ones that want to play Saber Legion rules will find us. And some people want to play by all those rules. Great. Our organization is not jealous. We would not want to be jealous. Why would we have people that come to us from any other organization and say, I've done their stuff, I'd like to try yours? We're going to say no? That's ridiculous. We wouldn't survive as an organization. Of course, we're going to cooperate. And of course, we're going to continue to prioritize safety and diversity and equality and the fun of all of our members, and have perfectly fine, perfectly cooperative relationships with any and all other lightsaber organizations that want to have cooperative, collaborative, friendly organization relationships with us. Why
and
would
that's
we
why
not?
I think that's why Tom Amorosa, you know Tom, of course, he's legendary. Think that's why he founded the International LED Saber Association, so that there would be a place where people from various organizations worldwide, I think we're in 20 countries now, can sort of talk to each other if they want to. And so Tom has sort of, passed that torch on to me. And as best I can, I search the world for all different kinds of lightsaber fighting and put it in there so that we can see how it's done in France and Poland and places like that. But let's talk about Terra Prime for a minute, because as we speak, Terra Prime is at the USA Fencing Nationals, and they are working to developing a governing body for something called light fencing. So in France, light fencing is a national sport. So my question is this: how do you feel about that? And I think I know what the answer is, but would there be any thought of Saber Legion working on that effort? Because at someday there's going to be a national team, and it seems to me the pool of fighters at a Saber Legion would probably foremost, and Alec and some of those would make great first effort at a national team to go over and fence in France.
That would be incredible. I think that would be amazing. Yeah. So listen, that is for the organizationally for the Saber Legion. Can't speak to that. That is for a leadership council that will come after mine. My time is running out on that. And when that question comes up for TSL to do something about officially, I will not be part of that conversation. But what I will be doing is volunteering 100%. I would, in the same, I had the privilege of coming out and trying the Saberlight Knights rule set with Chico Smith.
Yeah, I know the one.
Absolutely amazing down in Virginia.
He's my man. Much respect, Chico.
It was incredible. Yeah. And so, and I loved it, and we had a great time. And I would try the French Federation rules, and I would try the TPLA rules. And if I were blessed and honored to be tapped to be on the U.S. team, or years down the road, goodness gracious, if my son were tapped to be on the U.S. lightsaber team, all day. Come on, that's a no-brainer. I would, you would, and I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say almost anybody watching this video would. I see you guys out there. Y'all would do it. You know you would.
Well, I know that they're holding in August a coaching seminar. So they want to make coaches and they want to make referees and things like that. I can't go because I'm on a family thing. But so we're in the very early stages. But as I look at the U.S., all the fighters are in Lightspeed and in Saber Legion, and TPLA and a little group of schools is still small yet, though they have some great fighters. And I'm thinking of Diso and Anna down in Florida as well. But so I think the time is going to be coming where fighters there'll be a tryout, and I can imagine some great fighters coming out of Saber Legion and making a team. If they can figure out, if TPLA can figure out, or the governing body, how we raise money, because this is going to be a big money thing, to have a place to train, and then arrange for that team to go to France and compete. So I'm keeping my eye on it. That's all I can say, because we have two great leagues right now, and that's Saber Legion and Lightspeed. Lightspeed has made amazing strides in the last 5 years. They haven't quite caught up, but they're big time players now. And then TPLA, if they do things right, this is going to lead into my next topic. There's going to be a need for more schools of lightsaber. And so SCA, we've talked about before, SCA has a youth program. Is Saber Legion considered a youth program of its own? Because all you old guys, because you're getting old now, if you have a 20-year-old child, you're getting old, are having to be replaced. Then those fighters have to come from somewhere. Is Saber Legion considering the next generation or establishing a youth program?
Absolutely. And it has been something that we have been working on for a while. And we are trying to find a way to make that work in our current organization infrastructure. And it's going to happen. It's I believe one of the people working on that is Seth Clendenning, the gentleman that I fought for the belt. And so, you should hit him up and see what he's got cooking on that, because if there are other folks that are also working on it in different organizations, or any organization that has made that sort of thing work, that's a great collaborative effort that could benefit every organization. That's another rising tide that could lift every boat.
Yeah. I'd probably talk to Seth. Seth can probably borrow SCA's documentation and change it into a Saber Legion documentation. The only issue that I see is that you don't have schools, you have groups. And so the groups are, they're official for Saber Legion, but they're not official within their communities, if that makes sense. And you're going to be working with youth. So your instructors, some of your people in the charters are going to have to become teen instructors and that kind of thing. But I don't see it being a major hurdle. I see it being a fairly easy thing to do if Saber Legion wants to go ahead with that. I don't think that's a bad idea. It'd be nice to see a teen youth event at one of the Las Vegas events as well. All right, so I think I've hammered on you enough. This originally, for people that don't know, the show was supposed to be for his wife, Melody. And because of circumstances, she wasn't able to come on. So Jared gracefully threw himself into the fire pit to do this, which frankly, I'm perfectly happy to do, because he's a brother in arms, and I'm pleased to have a long conversation with him. Do you have any final comments about pretty much anything? You can talk, except politics. You can't talk politics or religion, but anything else.
No, I got to tell you, it was actually my pleasure. This was a no-brainer. Getting to come on and spend an hour hanging out with the commander. You talk about folks that are legendary. You are legendary, and the kind of things that you're doing.
Mr. IT, you're cutting out.
How about now? Is this any better?
You're cutting out.
Okay. How about this? Is this better?
Much. Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Awesome. Okay. So mainly, I just really appreciate being here with you. You, sir, you talked about Tom Amoroso building the International LED Association, but you're the one who really took it and have run with it and have done amazing things with it. And You are legendary. And we just, to come on and hang out with you for an hour, like we said, we haven't talked in years. We've never met face to face. And so it was a no-brainer. I'm honored and privileged to have been invited to come and hang out with you. And it's just been my pleasure.
Oh, well, thank you for the compliments. My wife's going to have to take me down a peg or two when I go to bed, because you're letting me go with this swelled head, and this old man doesn't need that. So she's going to, it won't survive 20 minutes after this episode ends, to be honest with you. Listen, give my best to your family. I'm looking forward to continue relationship. I've got to get out to a Vegas event. I've got to meet you guys in person. I got to sit there and go, hey, let's shake hands, brother, and then afterwards have a beer together or something like that. You guys are great. I spend my time mostly on the East Coast with Courtney and those guys. I'm running a foam weapon competition at Saber Light Nights in October. So it's not going to be Dagger here or any of those. But it's going to be a fun event with those guys. Maybe you can come up from Florida, and we'll
That'd be incredible. I would love to. And if I can see you at the Saber Light Nights events, I will be there as well for the Virginia.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So let's bring on our main man over here if he's listening. So Van, you there? So notice we're still here. There he is. All right, Van. 2, 3. Now that was amazing. Can you hear me? Van, are you there? Take yourself off mute. So folks,
I forgot I had myself on mute.
I had to do Marissa's part. Listen, that was great. I mean, that guy is a warrior and a heck of a man. And anytime I can meet somebody that stand up as another man and a gentleman, that interview just made my day. It kind of gives me hope for the future.
I can't believe he's been with the Saber Legion that long. When I talk to Charlie, and then you hear the history of how it's changed hands and how long it's been and it's grown, to see somebody who's been there from, almost right from the beginning. It's amazing.
Well, that organization is in good hands with the people who have running it. I mean, it's been a success. It's primed for even bigger things. I'm looking forward to it. It's truly innovative, and the amazing thing is it's done mostly by just volunteers. So I was happy to do this interview, and I hopefully someday we can get the power couples on, because Melody has a lot to offer as well, and she's everything I hear about her, she's an amazing lady, and she's not the only one. We remember from the ladies of Lightsaber what a group that are running their organizations.
She was the one that was well, okay, I guess it makes sense now, because when she was telling her story, she was talking about having to come up with all the paperwork and do kind of all the, so I guess that all makes sense.
Oh, they've got a national ranking for their fighters now, so if you're allowed to go to some of their competitions, you're going to meet nationally ranked, and frankly, Lightspeed's doing the same thing. One last thing, because we mentioned it, the Saber Accords is an international accord. Yes. It was drafted by Faisal Mian from the Silver Sabres in England. So that has been his baby. And he should be congratulated on that effort. So internationally, the Saber Accords was a no-brainer for, an Aiken Saber Academy is certainly a signatory to that as well.
Right. Well, it is a beautiful thing. I'm hoping that, you were talking about Terra Prime being at that fencing competition thing now, and I'm looking for this to expand and grow, and I'm hoping that we make it to the Olympics, and we can Saber Rattle can be the announcers for the event.
Well, it'll be a while for the Olympics because so many countries have to sign on to the sport, but I can see a U.S. versus French, and Darth Anonymous will be the guy running it. Chad has done an awesome job of coordinating that initiative, and it was like a dream that was out of reach for so long, and he's made it happen. So I applaud him on his efforts, and I hope he's having a good time at the USA. I've seen some of them. They're doing demonstrations like they did last year, but there'll probably be some more meetings and more information coming out about a governing body. So we'll stand by for that.
Right. And if any of you in the audience are interested in saber fighting, there are a lot of different schools, a lot of different organizations in a lot of different areas. If you want to contact the Saber Legion, of course, all the details are going to be in our detail box down below. But contact the Saber Legion if you want to find out if there's an organization in your area, or even contact Lightspeed. All these organizations are growing, so it's very possible that somebody has started something somewhere near where you are.
And if there's not an organization close, start your own.
Start your own.
You heard the story tonight. It started with him and 2 other people in a park, and that's how it normally begins. And the next thing you know, you've got 10 people who've seen a few people fighting with lightsabers, and you can pick your poison now. There's all sorts of different kinds of lightsaber combat. Aiken Saber Academy has its own system that we use. I'm always happy to give out the paperwork for that one and pointers and videos if you want to use ours. But certainly you can't go wrong with Saber Legion or Lightspeed or Terra Prime with the French system. I mean, if you do that one, you'll be, and you're young enough, you'll be ahead for a potential Olympic spot. To 10 years. This old man is not going to be around for that, but right. I might be able to crawl up there with a cane and watch you fight.
Well, whichever one you choose, there's a lot of great friends to be made. There's a lot of diversity in all of the organizations, and I haven't talked to one organization yet that I wouldn't be a part of, or that I don't like. Everybody, all of these, and you want to make sure if you're talking to someone, the first thing out of their mouth should be about safety. If they're not talking about the safety of the people participating, then you might want to find a different group to fight with. But all of these groups, safety is always going to be a top concern with everyone.
Yeah, just remember, if you're fighting in a park and a newbie shows up and you hit that newbie hard, they're not coming back. You just lost a potential member, and so you need to be careful. You need to be smart. And training, there's training available online. There's training available by watching videos. That's how I learned how to do 2-hand style. It's all out there, and it is the most fun thing you can do, is to fight with another human being in a safe environment, wearing a fencing mask and some gloves, and score points. The adrenaline flowing, your brain in overdrive from everything going on around you. So just give that some thought.
And you'd be amazed at how good an exercise it is too. You're using your entire body. You're using upper body, your core, your arms, your head, everything, your entire body.
Yeah, feel free to come to Aiken Saber Academy and watch the videos that we post there. Everything that Saber Legion does, everything that Lightspeed does, anything that comes from international, I post those videos on Aiken Saber, so it is a one-stop shop for that. If you are a lightsaber instructor, and it doesn't matter whether you're teaching choreography or if you're teaching fencing, we would certainly welcome you to the international group. You just have to prove that you are a lightsaber instructor. We often take fighters that are known within any of the organizations. We do take flow masters, so we would love to see them. So if you are we have enough custom saber builders, but you can't be, unfortunately, you can't be a seller of ultra sabers or things like that. But we certainly would welcome you if you are an instructor. Where are we as far as signing up for your NeoPixel?
We are 9 people away, it looks, as far as I can tell. So we didn't crack it tonight, but 9 more subscribers, guys. Please share this show. Please like and leave comments. I love everybody that participates. I love seeing all the comments going back and forth as you guys are having discussions. It's a great community that we built here, but let's make that community bigger. Like I said, we give away a free saber every 100 subscriber. But because we're coming to that 2,000 landmark or milestone there, we are giving away a NeoPixel Saber. So
so
9
does it
more
count?
people.
Does it count that my Facebook disabled my main account, so I got 2 new profiles?
Well, you can you just add both of those YouTube channels on.
I'll do that. I'll do that after the show. So if you see me walking around with a new NeoPixel, you'll know that I cheated a little bit. Listen, for everybody that is in the comment section, I see a lot of you are familiar. I can only speak on Van's behalf, and thank you. This is, as I've told Van often, this is the official podcast, I think, for the lightsaber community. So we need to treat it as gold. We need to thank Van because week in and week out, he's out there plugging to get guests on here, and I don't know how he does it. And I was happy to fill in, but I'm only going to be on occasionally. So he's the guy that makes this happen every single week to make it interesting.
Well, I am lucky to know you, my friend. You always bring us great guests, and you help us out when Mez needs to take a vacation or things need to get done. Maybe I'm gone, so I'm actually the lucky one. On that note, we're going to outro. We've got fantastic show. We are here every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. That's 10 p.m. East Coast, unfortunately. Remember, 9 more people. I really think next Sunday we are giving away a NeoPixel Saber, and all you got to do is be here and leave a comment. That's all it takes, and you got to subscribe to the channel. But
right. Well, peace out, brothers and sisters.
Peace out, my friends. Thank you so much for everybody that's been hanging out with us tonight and every Sunday night. And we are going to leave you with the talk of the town. Here we go. Peace.